For the last, I don't know, maybe like a month, I've been in a very shit spot. Wasn't feeling that great, you know? And just, I'm coming home from like, I went to get a haircut. So I'm coming home and then I turn in and like everybody's messaging me like Vel'Koz has been picked. Vel'Koz has been drafted. I'm like, shit. So I run to the PC, I turn it on, I come in at like minute 1, minute 2 of the game. And like, I come into the game and the entire chat, like, I'm not kidding. I fucking recorded actually. I was so happy. Like the entire chat is just tagging me and spamming my name. And there's shit on Twitter, there's shit on Discord. Everyone's messaging me. And I don't know, man. I got super fucking happy. I got a bit choked up. It was amazing. I don't know what to say. It was just really cool. It was really cool to see that a lot of people recognize me as the Vel'Koz main. And I don't know, it made me happy. It made me more like proud of what we've achieved. It was amazing. But yeah, we can talk about a game. We can talk about a game. The game was a bit weird. Ella said it perfectly. Vulcan is a great pick, but hates 131 and constant chaos. And that's where they went wrong on the macro scale during mid-game. They pick Orianna, they ban Azir, TF already banned. Okay, Syndra has been removed here. Like, if you... Like, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, they're afraid of Showmaker, I guess. They're completely afraid of Showmaker, because Vel'Koz does well into Syndra, actually. He can do pretty well in that case. Because the rest of the comp Vel'Koz does well against. Because, okay. This is like a bit of an opposite of what we saw last time when Vel'Koz was picked on EU Master, but it was GL Knight when Gamer Legion picked it up. They had like an absolute perfect comp for Vel'Koz. They had a perfect comp and Vel'Koz did well, apart from lane, because lane was Lucian. Lucian's supposed to bully you. But we saw Comet Vel'Koz, which is interesting. And here's the difference between Comet and Glacial.
Chovy on Vel'Koz, I mean, that is a 1v9 champion. So
Absolutely.
let's see if he can actually do it.
Well, I'm not entirely sure if it's a 1v9 champ, especially in this comp. Because look, in competitive, Vel'Koz can actually no, he's not entirely wrong. If you're looking at solo queue, it's garbage. But in competitive, Vel'Koz can be a 1v9 champ. That's the difference. So competitive Vel'Koz is slightly different. So he totally can be a 1v9 champ. Not entirely, especially not in this comp, because look at the draft. Senna and Braum is a good duo with him, and Graves and Vlad are terrible for him, okay? So we got Elite in the top lane, Azzapp Hoopu in the mid. Like, this is... Like, the top side is pretty garbage for Vel'Koz. That's the issue. When we saw it with the GL Knight, when Knight picked it, he had a really good comp for him. Like, he had all kinds of setup. He had so much setup. He couldn't have more, actually.
They have given 100 gift subs in the channel.
He legit couldn't have more setup. It was crazy. They're not entirely picking Vel'Koz to be a carry here. That's the thing about their comp. They're not picking Vel'Koz to be... Because if you pick a Comet Vel'Koz here, there goes to the... glacial thing I wanted to talk about. If you pick a Comet Vel'Koz here, it doesn't really work well. Because he has no setup. He depends on Braum making the absolute best combo. He depends on Senna landing a bind, which is rare in competitive. Vel'Koz Comet here wouldn't be that good. It actually wouldn't be that good. Like, I doubt he would carry it. Okay, so they didn't pick it to be good with the comp. They picked the comp to be good with Glacial Vel'Koz. So it's reverse. They're not setting up Vel'Koz, but Vel'Koz is setting up them. They're playing on the Graves hyper carry farming. They're playing on Glacial Vel'Koz setting up a bunch of slows and then Vlad running over them. And Deft is helping here with the Senna setup, all that stuff with Braum. So that's how the comp was supposed to play, okay? They're supposed to set up stuff, and Vel'Koz wasn't supposed to be the executioner or like the carry. He's supposed to just rush the Glacial, support the team. Even though I hate Glacial, it's a lower skill ceiling game plan. Shouldn't exist in my opinion. It's the better way to play it here, actually. Now, we're gonna get to Chovy's gameplay later on. So yeah, versus this comp is totally fine. How the Orianna curve works. So you're slightly supposed to lose early game against Orianna. Then you're supposed to win mid game. And then late game kind of stabilize and anyone can take it. Because Orianna is insane late game. And her early game can slightly bully Vel'Koz. The thing is in competitive, that's barely... That's negligible because it, like, as you know, he's gonna go glacial, and he's gonna go time warp tonic, he's gonna go corrupting, he's gonna go cookies, he's gonna go teleport, and Orianna, that early game gets negated because even if she gets good trades, doesn't matter. He just sustains, then trades back. So it's gonna be a farm fest, and he's just gonna be spamming the waves. I'm curious about his leveling order. I don't know if someone can check that. I'm curious what he leveled up. True. The thing about glacial also is glacial even behind, it can still be extremely relevant because you have true damage and you can set up your team, and that's the brilliant part of the glacial. The thing is, when glacial is ahead, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do when glacial is ahead, because if he positions correctly, he'll just control the entire game. So okay, so pretty much standard. He's not going corrupting. I like that. So he's going for the max CDR item CDR. So lucidity boots this. It's amazing. That's ingenious with the taste of blood. That's survival. Taste of blood, cookies, corrupting, that's survival in lane. That's gonna negate the Orianna early game slight advantage, because Orianna can hit you through minions, you can't hit her through minions. So that's kind of the disparity in early game. But post level 6, it, like, because you have a lot of damage on your Q and a lot of implications by hitting the Q past 6, so Orianna loses that ability to bully you completely. Okay, there's also one thing about Vel'Koz wave clear. You can, competitive style usually has been with Vel'Koz, spam W, clear, get prio, get out. You know, I try to mix two styles and I try to play on the limit. Now, there's variants where you can clear with Q a lot while trying to find angles, while trying to find hits. It's a bit more risky, it's a bit more on the edge, but you can conserve more mana and you can also look for picks. I imagine he goes 3 points in the W here, but we'll see. I'm kind of curious if someone can give me the leveling order. If he went 5, I think that's a mistake. So yeah, you can trade mana for a little bit of speed in wave clear. And I think that's what Chovy was doing in this game. He was trading loads of mana just to get a little bit faster clear, which I don't think he was as efficient. He had good CS, but it left him very often without ammo for a team fight. So we'll see. He started W level 1. This is what I call chaos playstyle. Because I tell you very often that versus Xerath, I sometimes do this versus Xerath, is because Xerath beats you. Xerath beats you in lane, so you want to do chaos playstyle. If you do this, you create chaotic laning where you just hard shove and he's forced to deal with the minion instead of you. So he doesn't poke you. He's focused on the farm. So that's how you negate matchups that are slightly stronger than you early. You want setup or damage.
500 Worlds Adventures.
Yeah, that's so hilarious. Illegal bystander, thanks for 7. Yeah, I come into the worlds to watch the game, and I see Elite in chat, and everyone's like tagging me, and I feel so happy. And then Elite types like, "Stop typing, come, let's play." Oh man. So yeah, that's a good early game for Vulcan. If you think about it, that's a good, like, that's why you can do chaos playstyle early game. Now the issue with chaos playstyle is you don't want to do it post early, because early game not much is gonna happen, and it's fine to trade it. Now if he keeps getting out of mana, it's gonna hurt him very often. You know, he could join fights, and he could potentially join fights if he had mana. Now, like, his wave clear gets a lot easier at level 5+. He has 3 points in W, he can W once and then Q the wave for a refund. He can get 150% refund very often. This is the Doran's mistake. He walks into an auto attack. As if he's playing on like 150 NA ping, you know? He just has bad footsies, walks in and dies. Should be 1-0 easy. Because this is where you want to make plays, okay? Post this glacial. Right now, I think he's going to enable the glacial with the GLP, 10 minutes. Yeah, there we go. So I got GLP, got pink. This is where he wants to play make, okay? So he teleport immediately to get prio. Vel'Koz can't really utilize teleports that well, so this is all right. He can create prio, get vision, and look for picks. This is where you want to create plays, okay? This is the advantage, because if you look at it, especially because Orianna meta right now is the Archangel. Like, look, first of all, she doesn't have Archangel. Why? GLP is cheaper, okay? That's the first thing. That's why I also, when I was coaching Yamato and Vel'Koz, I told him that GLP is most likely the choice for competitive Vel'Koz, even if you're not running glacial. Because 400 gold differential in item means quite a lot in competitive. That's a lot earlier spike, and that means you can play play spikes, and that's what competitive is all about. Now you can play this spike, even if she had it completed, he would still win 1v1. But with this, he has a massive advantage in 1v1. Because if you look at it, like, Orianna's got mana and 40 AP. While GLP is like insane amount plus the damage of active and the slow that's set up. So anytime GLP lands, that's a flash from Orianna. Or at least ult. Okay? Yeah, exactly. Exactly as Ella says. You wanna get to level 13 is amazing, because especially at that point you're gonna have 2 glacial items. And that means they're just dancing however you want them to. You shoot Twin Shadows, they get slowed. You shoot wide range Q, they either get hit by it or juke backwards, then you hit GLP, then they get slowed again, then you can land EW because it's not dry EW, and then they have to flash. Like, this is a setup Vel'Koz. This is not a 1v1 own you, destroy you 1v9 Vel'Koz. This is a setup player style. So you want teammates to be near him at all times, and you want to keep tracking flashes, because as soon as someone doesn't have flash, they die. As soon as they have flash, you force it. Simple as that. Can't walk in. If he walks in, he dies. And this is good. Okay, this is the position you want to be in. As soon as you clump up with Braum in front, they have to leave. And if they leave, they cannot gain access back. Why? Because you have a GLP. If they try to go in, they lose. They have to go through. It's like you're in a castle. And even if you have like 3 men, 4 men can't penetrate it. Because you got that glacial in front of you, you know? It's very difficult to go through it. So yeah, I wish Vel'Koz was hugging on the right side more here, because then he wants to be... Because oftentimes when you're doing rotations with Vel'Koz, you're throwing random Qs at a very far end point, so you can catch both sides. You can catch the lane and that brush, basically with the same angle. So if you're hugging right, you're impacting both sides. You're basically 2 players at that point. This very often happens if, let's say, you're sieging like here, if you're sieging mid lane and if you're sieging bot lane here. Vel'Koz plays on the side, and then you can Q and then like split Q on both sides, and you can keep catching people in rotations or very close to influencing both sides. So you're just really fast. Again, he uses double W for the wave clear, which I don't like. That leaves him damageless in a potential fight. Like this is the logic I explained to Yamato as well. When you're wave clearing, ideally you want to do WQE, WE backline, WQ frontline. Okay, so what happens then? Okay, if you do the math, you're gonna still have 1 W, and by the time Q and E come up, you're gonna have 2 W's, Q and E. Okay, so that's 4 abilities. Are you paying attention? That's 4 abilities, 2 W's, Q and E. If you double WQ, you get slightly faster, but what happens is, by the time the fight happens, you're gonna gain 1 W and Q and E. So that's 3 abilities, and that's less potential damage you're gonna have in a fight. So yeah, it's a very often that mistake happens. Look at that. Glacial, boom. Instant flash. Instant flash. As soon as you land glacial, you have to force flash. It's really, really sad how they just never capitalize on this. Like, they force a flash, but they never come back for a play. Because next GLP, the lands, she dies. He can actually flash GLP. If he has follow-up, she will die. Go with the... If this, like, doesn't tell you he's going utility, then I don't know what is. Like, he went Cosmic Insight, he went Lucidity, he went CDR Codex. Obviously, it's going to be Twin Shadows. And this is like the ultimate support build. Okay? This is no longer a mid laner. This is a support. You deal damage, but you're not a 1v1 guy. You're not going to outplay people 1v1 unless you're mega ahead. And he's not mega ahead, obviously. So, at this point, they're saying like, okay, we play only around this guy. Because if you look at their comp is... They don't have setup. They don't have engage. Vel'Koz is their best engage right now. As soon as he finishes Twin Shadows, he's their best engage actually. And I didn't see them use that. Now you hug this wall here. You hug this wall. As soon as she steps close, you glacial. She dies. I obviously Showmaker has the misposition for that, and he's really good. Now that's not an understatement, you know. But you always want to be looking for those plays, because you want to make plays with Glacial Vel'Koz right now. They have the Archangel, but it's not stacked Archangel yet. So this is like, again, massive advantage. And you went for that CDR, which means you want to make as many plays as possible. And the more plays you make right now, it's going to benefit you more later on because you're running Ingenious Hunter. So the more stacks you get right now, the more dominant your map presence will be. Even if you trade equally, let's say at this point. Your mid-game chokehold on them will be insane as long as you gain gold on Vel'Koz. Because not only does he get the ingenious hunter stacks on unique kills, he also gets to the Twin Shadows faster. And once you get that, you can dominate the map. Okay, they're engaging mid. Yeah, this is yeah, there's the glacial, and here's a mistake. I don't know if he has it or not. Like, here's a big mistake. He glacials Pantheon, and he doesn't follow it up. Like, I don't know where he would waste abilities, because there's no way when he was hitting the turret with the Herald. So I'm pretty sure he has EWQ up, and he lands glacial. And if you like, you know this, if you land glacial, it's unmissable. Everything is unmissable. So you don't have to Q first, you can just EW, and then spread out Q away if in case he does the invulnerability. And then, once he uses invulnerability, you can ult him. Okay? Now, what Chovy does here is a bit of a joke play. He lands Q, puts distance, and he has, like, the true damage proc. Now, if this is solo Q, ulting this guy with the fast, because he has 2 stacks, he will get 1 stack in 0.7 seconds. So, maybe they don't respond to it in solo Q, but it's competitive, and why wouldn't he just use his shield on your ult, because he's obviously expecting that, and you don't deal any more damage. Yes, it's true damage, doesn't go through the shield. So it's just a big waste. That's just a massive waste of ult. While they die on the side, and now he doesn't have ult for the follow-up fight. So that's a big issue. He didn't even get him low enough for Senna to kill him. And this is where, again, like, his reckless mana cost efficient style, cost style, now puts him in a really weak spot. He doesn't have too much ammo. He has like 1 combo. That's it. He's out of the fight. And he doesn't have ult. And that makes him quite weak in this scenario. And this is the point for him. Like, look at this. They have 4v2. Kill anybody. Doesn't matter. Just kill the front line. Whoever appears, shred him. If he has ult, you can just delete anyone. And he gets 2 unique stacks of ingenious. And that's amazing. Now, it takes him so long to get through here. He gets a triple knockup. This is just like pathetic gameplay. And then the team follow up. Team follows up, and this is actually just a really sad trade, you know. And he's out of mana. Glacial, I don't know why he glacialed Oriana there. She has no flash. So now he's stuck out of mana. He could have maybe glacialed Kindred there and tried to play for that. But this is just sad. It winds up being 1-for-1, actually 1-for-2 at the end. But that, like, 4v2 was 1-for-1, which is really sad, because if they were faster and more decisive, they... also, he didn't buy Darkseal early. I would have loved to see Darkseal in this situation, because you're running a very cheap build, okay? GLP into Twin Shadows in Lucidity boots. That's so damn cheap. So you can afford a little bit of time to buy Darkseal, and then once you get the Twin Shadows, you can buy Magi's. Like, if you die as Vel'Koz in this scenario versus this comp as Glacial with Twin Shadows, Lucidity, and GLP, you deserve to lose the game. You lost the game, okay? Like, if you die in that scenario. So you should never, ever die. That's why you can go Magi's in that case. Also, you're gonna get 10 stacks because you're involved in every single kill on the map because you're Glacial. You should be involved. And you're gonna get 10 stacks so you get movement speed. And movement speed on Vel'Koz is insanely important. That's why you go Magical Footwear. Because movement speed, because all 4 abilities of Vel'Koz are directly tied to his positioning. And both GLP and Twin Shadows. So the faster you can reposition, the faster you can get to better like checkmate positions and better angles. Okay, now this is a duo that they did some random stuff. Like, Keria and Piotrek did some really random stuff as too. And this is the most frustrating part for me as a Vel'Koz main. Because there's nothing worse than seeing a winnable game, but your team doesn't revolve around you. Like, you don't do like the split push here. You wanna do tiny clumps and skirmishes. Ideally, with these 4 guys. Vlad side lane, he can beat Ornn, he can deal with Ornn, he can push, he's got the TP, and these 4 should always beat these 4 without Ornn. Okay? They should always beat these 4, I imagine. If they position correctly. Like, they're doing some random stuff. This was a clean-ass play. We're gonna see in a replay. He landed a nice QR. Granted, it's on a glacial target, but it was a great QR. And he kills Beryl. The issue is this is so pointless. Like, this is such a stupid move on the macro scale that I have no idea why. Like, even the kill that happened on Beryl is just pointless. Why would Vel'Koz make plays right before the dragon? He doesn't have Twin Shadows. He could have maybe farmed it up, reset before, instead of fighting. Get the Twin Shadows, or just prepare, or just save mana and prepare for the dragon. Also, these 2 guys invading for blue buff, losing the blue buff, and then losing the Drake. Or losing the Drake prio. It's just pointless. Absolutely pointless to make plays right now. If they just group up for the dragon, they do the same exact thing like last time, and they should just win. So yeah, they trade 2 for 1. Actually, no, 3 for 1. It was not structured at all. Like, you're making 2 different fights, both losing. Why? Before dragon? Because as soon as you group, you win. You create 1 fight, which you win. Or no fight, because if they can't access the dragon, you don't need a fight. You take the dragon and you're fine. Plus, you preserve the mid-third. It's just pointless. Absolutely, like, in the heat of a moment play. Which makes no sense. No discipline. So, now we get Twin Shadows. And they got 2 dragons. If they prioritize on the first one, they could have had 3 right now. If they really prioritize that instead of trying to get kills. Because that would put a really big cloak. Big cloak, yep. It would put a nice cloak on the damn woman. They would have to contest every dragon. And contesting every dragon versus double glacial Vel'Koz is so damn difficult, man. This 1v1 is and this is exactly how it happens. Like, ideally, you should have opened up the glacial. Then he could land everything. But Q serves the same purpose as glacial, because Q right now is the level 5, which is 2.6 seconds slow, like for 70% decaying. And then it's basically free. You can land in W. As soon as you W, it goes in vulnerability. After invulnerability, you kill him with ult. So it's pretty damn simple. So at this point, I'm pretty sure he has enough damage without Q. He wouldn't get interrupted in time, and the outcome is, it just looks pretty, the QR. But outcome is the same. It's just a bad play in the macro scale. At this point, you don't have mid-third. You're falling apart on all sides. This is like classic tempo play. Like, they're just tempoing them in chaotic style because they want to make... The only way they can make plays is right now with the Chovy and the bot lanes combo setup, or just Chovy alone versus no summoners characters. So you want to slow, and this is okay. I think at the very moment, LS is talking about this.
The not stable gameplay where action's happening all over the map, and he can't really do anything because one of the things that he's very weak to is very spread out things. 1-3-1.
Yeah, I absolutely love his commentary. This is amazing insight, and this is exactly right. Orianna is great in this case because she just keeps spamming like E, W. She can farm easily. Vel'Koz needs a bit more structured farm. He needs more structured fights. So yeah, this is again random fight. This is like pure tempo. Again, the bot jungle or support jungle duo take a random fight, not including Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz cannot join this. If he joins, he literally in. So they're basically like trolling the Vel'Koz here. Like, there's nothing you can do. It's just really sad, you know? He keeps throwing these like 5% chance to land random Q's long range, you know? He lands really good. He landed a really good... I don't know why he panicked and backed off. He could have probably pursued this kill and force his ult prematurely, then maybe ult after, or if the support comes, just back off, get his ult for free. He kind of panicked, so he missed the glacial. Because he landed a Q. That Q was like really good prediction on the dash forward. It's very often happens. But it doesn't matter. Like, the fight can, like, you can only win consolation prizes at this point. So again, they tempoed them out for like, look at it, 3,000 gold tempo when they were ahead. So it's just mid game falling apart. Really terrible discipline and shot calling. But the support jungle just kept making plays without Vel'Koz. Like, again, look, they're in a weird spot, and Vel'Koz is just arriving. Like, you want Vel'Koz to set plays up, and you're there to just clean it up. Vel'Koz gets a really good. That's a very good interaction with the glacial and banshees. Look at it on Orianna. Look how Vel'Koz zones 2 guys on the side. Glacial still procs. You don't proc the initial slow from the GLP, but you proc the slow from glacial because it's a carpet below. Orianna is a little bit fast, but okay. Vel'Koz lands stuff here. Look what happens. Flash. He landed glacial. Orianna has to flash. This is the second time that happened. They never once punished that. They just keep forcing the flash, but they never once punished the Showmaker. Like, every time they interacted and glacial landed, which is relatively easy to land, like, Orianna had to flash. And they can't change that in an interval of 5 minutes. Because reasons. Either Showmaker is a god, predicted every single one of their moves and just positioned flawlessly, or they never tried to do that in the first place. Like, the chance to make a play here and get a kill is like minimal, more like non-existent, to make a kill without ult or glacial. It's just, I don't know what he's doing here. This is just random. He's playing footsies versus like a ball in a brush, you know? Why? Good thing that happens, you land the Q. Get a bit of poke. His team isn't there in time. It's just a very mistimed play. And now they're in a really rough spot where Showmaker just plays them one by one. So yeah, I don't know who called that, so you can't really put all blame on Chovy. Maybe someone called like chase, 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 and he had to stop them there for them to do it. But it's essentially what lost them the game. They got 4 for 0 in Baron. And after this point, the game is just straight up over.
And it looks like they're gonna be able to get the Baron.
I know who you can blame on that one, but it's just a really bad play. It's a really, really bad play. And this is the point you don't want, where Vel'Koz is behind. He's still relevant due to Glacial, but his team isn't, so he can set up no one. You know? Like, look at it, there's a ball. Like, he sees the ball in the brush with the pink ward, and he's just standing on it. And then he flashes late, and... But yeah, most of this, like, criticism doesn't go directly to Chovy and Vel'Koz. Like, his Vel'Koz performance was alright. He performed, the champion was useful, it was relevant. The issue was just on the macro skill. They didn't play towards the team that they drafted, which is really weird. They didn't play for the Dragon Wing condition. They didn't do groups and fights around that. Because they don't have like an engage, and Vel'Koz was a substitute for an engage. He sacrifices damage for engage and team play, and the team play never happened, so... at this point, it would just be better to go Comet Vel'Koz. He would deal slightly more damage, you know? Build Comet Vel'Koz with GLP and boom, you know?
Hey, that's true.
Because if you want to play selfish like this without relying on him at all, so... Showmaker's spacing is really good, man. His spacing is really good.
It's a pretty good ultimate out of Canyon there, and that's going to
Guys, you know what's happening here? You know what's happening here? They made a play without Vel'Koz. Once again. You know? So by the time Vel'Koz is there, there's no play to be made. Once again, they made a play without Vel'Koz. Vel'Koz arrives at the end and glacials them, like, trying to execute people with glacial instead of setup stuff. So overall, this is just a misuse of Vel'Koz. I feel like the coach of DRX doesn't know the benefits of Vel'Koz, what Vel'Koz brings to the table. I mean, from the get-go, when I was watching this at like minute 2, as I look and see that Glacial has been drafted, I'm like, okay, he knows what he's doing, because they pick Glacial to compensate for the lack of engage that they have on top side. So they can do this clump, and Vel'Koz can facilitate Graves playstyle, and Graves can be more aggressive and just pick it up. You know, that's not what happens at all. They ignore Vel'Koz. Like, look at it, he's 1-3 Vel'Koz, no assists. Vel'Koz having 0 assists here is a complete failure, not only on his part, but a complete failure on the team part. That Vel'Koz with Glacial has 0 assists. It's just... It should never happen. It's a disgrace, you know? So yeah, this was not their day. They weren't prepared, they weren't ready, they didn't perform. So they lose 3-0. This game could have totally worked if they knew how to play it. It could have totally worked. Like, in this case, they could have gone Xerath. Xerath would have been better, you know? Pick Xerath, again, survive early just like you did with the teleport and sustain, survive early against Orianna, and then later on, instead of you being the facilitator of the fights, use ult and follow up plays that your jungle and support are starting. So you can use Xerath long range to join up the fights. Because Vel'Koz was just, he's just like a poor boy trying to run after a car, and he never catches up to it, you know? He's never there in the fight. He's just trying to catch up. So if he had global, then sure, you know. You can global ult and join up the fight. If they don't rely on you to help at all. So it's just... Honestly, I don't know if this is like coach's fault. Tell him the plan. Or the fault of the team not understanding the plan that the coach laid out. Yeah, you can do Ziggs for the same exact thing. The thing with Vel'Koz is versatile. You can play Vel'Koz for the same thing. But he's just... You know, you can do QR from 1.5k distance. Semi-long range, you know, you're nearly global at that point. So you can help, like, to the river skirmish. Or you can play Glacial where you set up people. Again, you can do that from really long range. But yeah, Xerath can follow up better plays that they're creating, so... If you wanna play follow-up instead of facilitator, then you just play damage. So it would be way better than this. But yeah, I think it's just a failure on realizing the game plan. I know who it falls upon because I don't know what was happening internally, but yeah. I hope the next performance of Vel'Koz will be better, and maybe in the bracket, G2 can come to versus Damwon, and then Caps played Vel'Koz in solo, he can avenge Chovy's Vel'Koz, and that would be perfect, you know? That would be a nice circular story. I know it's a small thing. I know it's a very, very small thing, but coming into a chat like this, like look at this. Look at the chat. Just look at this. Like look at this. It made me really happy. I don't know why, man. It just kind of... I guess to an extent it validated what I was doing like the entire time, what I'm trying to create. Like look at the chat, man. It really got me, you know? The chat got me. They caught me off guard. They're so cute. Look at this. Amazing. I choked up a bit, not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. It's amazing. Amazing. Like, this is like a dream of every streamer, I guarantee you. It made me really happy. Oh yeah, you guys are awesome.